Okay, this video is continuing with, this is part 2 of creativity quotes. We just finished up with knowing a lot as a springboard of creativity. The point is you got to know your field well before you're going to have the knowledge to enable you to be creative in that field. Silvano Arietti, he says, human creativity uses, that last quote was by Charlie Rose, this one by Silvano Arietti. Human creativity uses what is already existing and available and changes it in an unpredictable way. Yeah, very often the best ideas are just a rethinking of what was previously known. Because when you come up with a new explanation for it, it enables new things to springboard out of it. Here's a quote by Igor Stravinsky, the composer. In order to create, there must be a dynamic force. And what force is more potent than love? Yeah, Christianity's full of love and energy. That's why most creative things have been done by Christians. Yeah, there's exceptions, but the majority of them by far have been done by Christians. Okay, Academy of Ideas, anonymous quote, pursuit of knowledge is the Ariadne thread that gets us out of the Minotaur maze. Okay, I don't know why I thought that was so good enough to include it, but... Okay, next one by Buckminster Fuller. Bucky, he's a real smart guy. He says, people should think things out fresh and not just accept conventional terms and conventional ways of doing things. Yeah, most of the time if something comes from a school, including a grad school, it's usually bogus. It's usually what they want you to think or what they want you to know. You know, McDougall had said it before, Dr. McDougall, med school is just trade school. It's trade school for selling drugs, okay? It's not state-of-the-art understanding of medical knowledge. Okay, Peter Saville, he says, creative people have to believe in the value of their work. Yeah, you got to be confident, or how are you going to stand up to the resistance you get for suggesting something new? Well, here's some quotes that I made. First, you need to master the craft and be prepared. Then you have to believe that the solution is reachable by you. You have to accept that you may need to change assumptions. I don't know if this is mine or who wrote this. I don't know who wrote this. Intensity of purpose, ability to explain the topic, sustained attention. You're going to have eureka moments. Oh, that's kind of boring. Use your solitary time well. Have leisure time so you got time to study. You got to have leisure time. Right now, that's what's killing me is that I work so much. I don't have enough time. I got so many things I want to do, but I just don't have time to go through all the papers and to write all the stuff I want to do. Then you got to get exposure to the real life topics so you get real life experience. Good to have some friends you can talk to that are interested in the subject at a high level. Okay, Edward de Bono, he wrote a lot about creativity. He said the simple process of focusing on things that are normally taken for granted is a powerful source of creativity. Creativity is the most important human resource of all. Creativity involves breaking out of established patterns in order to look at things in a different way. Okay. Genuine creativity is characterized by intensity of awareness, a heightened consciousness. Now, I'll say that one's true. I've been around some people that are real creative and kind of geniuses in their own area, and they're fascinated by the subject. That's what gets them to study it so thoroughly. Okay, next one. Deep absorption is characteristic of creative people. Yeah, you got to be a bit of a nerd. That's why a lot of geniuses, they spend a long time alone and lonely and just reading and studying and thinking all the time. And a lot of times they're loners. Look at Tesla. Look at lots of them. Newton. Tons of them are like that. Nietzsche. Okay, Beethoven. A creative man is motivated by the desire to achieve, not by the desire to beat others. Okay, that's from Ayn Rand. Okay, Jiddu Krishnamurti, he says, without freedom there is no creation. Yeah, if you're always scared you're going to get in trouble for a new idea, you're not going to be that creative. So that's why all that BS about not letting people speak, it prevents creativity. Here's Jack Welch, the big businessman. We know where most of the creativity, the innovation, and the stuff that drives productivity lines comes from. It comes from the minds of those closest to the work. Yeah, the people who deal with the subject every day, they're the ones that know it best. Okay, Anita Roddick, creativity comes by breaking the rules. Yep. Okay, the best ideas come as jokes, make you thinking as funny as possible. That's David Ogilvy, the advertising guy. Now here's a good one from Arthur Koestler. The more original a discovery, the more obvious it seems afterwards. Yeah, it seems obvious afterwards because they had to get all the roadblocks out of the way. You know, like right now, if you want to come up with a discovery to help patients and you're going to recommend the vegan diet, the big obstacle is that the drug dealers and the drug companies, they're not going to let drugs be pushed out of the way. They're going to keep drugs right in the center. So, to get that whole mentality out of the way, good luck with that. Not so easy. I don't see it happening in the near future on a big scale. It can happen locally for a few smart people, but on a big scale, I don't see it happening. Okay, the creative individual, this is John Gardner. The creative individual has the capacity to free himself from the web of social pressures in which the rest of us are caught. He is capable of questioning the assumptions that the rest of us accept. Okay, that's a reason why I think it's good to be stuck up. I am stuck up. Intellectually, I am stuck up. I consider myself the best doctor in the world. And I think that's a valuable thing because I know that most people, and a lot of these wimps in the nutrition business, when they hear a famous nutrition doctor said something like, oh, well, so-and-so said it, or oh, well, the guy at Harvard said it. And I'm like, bullshit. I was at Harvard. I was the smartest guy in my group when I was at Harvard. I'm not intimidated at all by a Harvard guy. The smartest guys come from podunk. Look at McDougall. Okay, McDougall trained in Detroit. Then he was an intern in Hawaii, did his residency in Hawaii. Nobody's ever heard of those places, okay, in the academic world. So a real smart person, they establish themselves by what they do, what they say, their ideas, okay? So all these titles, almost all of them are phony. Think about all the so-called experts you see on the internet. 99% of them are phony or bullshitters or just trying to sell you something. So that's what you have to have, the confidence to push through your knowledge. If you think out, if you've done your studying and your logic is clear, run it by a friend, and when it's right, it's right. And put it out there and discuss it with people. But what I'm trying to say is you have to be able to break out of conformist acceptance of what other people say, or you can't do anything new. Don't get me wrong. You check it and see if they're right or not. A lot of times they're not. Okay, Einstein. To regard old problems from a new angle requires creative imagination and marks real advance in science. Okay, here's Paul Johnson, the writer. He's a historian from England. He's a Catholic, even though he's from England. He says, we are the happiest when creating. God gave me the gift of writing and the ability to draw and paint. I have made my living by words, and I have derived enormous pleasure throughout life by creating images on paper and canvas. The art of creation comes closer than any other activity to serve as a remedy for the ills of existence. Yeah, in real life, you don't get what you want. All kinds of bad stuff happens, okay? But when you write, you can kind of make your book the way you want it, and that makes you happy, okay? We can't have babies like women, but we can make books. Okay, here's Alfred North Whitehead. He says here that fundamental progress has to do with the reinterpretation of basic ideas. Yeah, like atherosclerosis. It's not all about cholesterol. It's all about thrombosis, okay? Atherosclerosis is a blood clot. Once you understand that, now everything else will fall into place when you study atherosclerosis. But as long as you're stuck on cholesterol, nothing will really make sense. So anyways, those are creativity quotes for today. Hope that was helpful.